The next topic I'll talk a little bit about is sort of the opposite, which is you can do a smash success. And this has always been somewhat true, but that more and more teams that are going to have outside success are smaller and smaller. And there's a few things that have happened recently that I think are proof points, and I just want to talk through them very quickly. So Manor Lords, which is a city builder slash sort of like RTS game, launched last week, did 1 million sales in one day off like a 3.8 million wish list. So I mean, pretty good conversion, like basically 25% conversion rate from their Steam wish lists. They peaked at 173K concurrent players, the most ever in the city building genre, which I think is fascinating. And it's predominantly one dev who did most of the development. Now, my understanding is that they've outsourced some amount of asset production and other things, but like smashing success, tens of millions, if not probably you could easily build to be $100 million title, a single guy. Another one, Balatro, single dev team, 1 million Steam sales in under a month, 380K concurrent Steam players. Awesome game. If you like card games of any sort, more, you should try this game if you haven't already. Another example, it's a very, very small dev team, crushed it.
A roguelike poker game, right?
It's so good. Warren, you should play it. It's so good. Leave the Company, which is another one-man dev team. I didn't actually pull the numbers on that, but another huge smashing success last year on Steam, single-person dev team. And then at the sort of higher end, we have teams like PalWorld, which we've talked about in the past. They reportedly started with like a 7-person dev team and then scaled up to about 40 or 50 when they got some Microsoft funding. They've done 25 million units sold across Steam and Xbox so far as of February of this year. 25 million units, like 50% team. That's crazy.
And no real traditional marketing on most of these games that we're talking about.
Right. This is sort of like the high end of this, which is Helldivers, who around 100% dev team, 8 million plus Steam sales, purportedly 800,000 concurrent cross-platform players. I mean, massive successes. What's the throughput? Basically no marketing, viral success, super, super lean teams. It's a pretty crazy trend. I mean, we've talked about this trend and all of a sudden now it's like, okay, I feel like I've been very, very vindicated in this idea over the last 6 months. What are your thoughts, Warren?
I think there's two narratives here. So the first, we talk about this all the time, but the convergence of technologies allowing smaller teams to do more and more. I think through clever uses of AI and outsourcing, there's a lot more that small teams can do. And with a smaller team or a one-man shop, creative control and coherent vision is more fully realized. That's like the aspirational, exciting thing about what we're seeing. The other side of this coin, which I don't think we've touched on before, but when I'm thinking about like, why are there so many downloads? Like, what part of it is just like achieving high Steam chart position.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely not saying this is what any of these games do. I think all of these like have truly caught fire, like true virality. But I'm talking to more and more teams that are just getting good at tactics to hack the Steam charts.
Yeah.
This is a new growth vector, rhymes with the App Store circa 2013, 2014, where people would just do weird stuff to get to the top of the charts and then come to the downloads. Teams are definitely now implementing this as like a core growth strategy.
Yeah.
So there's always, at the end of the day, like there's no such thing as like true organic. Like no user just appears in your game. They have to hear about it somehow or other. And I do think that like we're going to see more and more of the trend of teams focusing on like, okay, Steam charts is the big unlock. How do we hack our way to the top of the Steam charts? So I think in addition to these like true phenomenons that are actually good games, I think we're going to see like more and more crap gaming the system. And eventually we'll probably see similar trends to what we saw in the App and Play stores, where it's like, okay, we're going to stop giving as much real estate to just like what's getting the most downloads or what's getting the most wish list.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think you're right. This is obviously like the new ASO for PC. Mm-hmm. I think there's a tighter feedback loop here, right? So Steam really takes player feedback, basically reviews, into consideration as they recommend stuff. And then also they look at return rate, which is something that you can do on Steam that you can't do on other platforms. If you play for under 2 hours, you can just return it within 2 weeks, no questions asked. I do that all the time. And for me, it's like, I incredibly heavily rely on the Steam algorithm. I buy probably most of my game purchasing is based on the Steam algorithm. And so, I mean, good on them. If you want to get my money, and it flows pretty freely when it comes to weird little indie games, this is a great, great growth vector. But I think it's a really interesting point that you're articulating, which is that this is a new growth marketing hack. And I mean, just to look at ourselves in the mirror a little bit, we don't, focus on Steam specifically, but we are doing much, much more viral sort of organic growth marketing than we used to compared to a couple years ago for a lot of our clients.
Absolutely true.